Merry Christmas, everyone. Everyone who celebrates. Hope you got as much Rangers stuff under the tree as you wished for. Jerseys, hats, shirts, tickets, whatever it may have been in your wishes. I hope they all came true with some Rangers gear, Rangers stuff, Rangers tickets, whatever it may be. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas to those of us, or those of you who may be overseas. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas Eve and have a wonderful Christmas Day. Let's start talking Rangers. Let's talk about some trade stuff. What could be under the tree, or a New Year's gift, maybe something like that. I'm of the opinion they should trade Panarin if the right deal presents itself. Obviously, they're a little tied with his no move clause, but I think to go to a contender would be worth it. The Rangers are going to hang around the playoffs all year long, I think, because the East is so bad. It's funny, there was an interesting article in The Athletic about naming the best player in the Eastern Conference, and would Quinn Hughes have immediately been the best player in the conference had he gotten traded to an Eastern Conference team? And yeah, there's not a lot of depth of amazing talent, amazing sort of generational talent in the Eastern Conference compared to, the Hughes, the McCarrs, the McKinnons, the McDavids, and on and on. In the Western Conference. So Panarin, with the right deal to the right team, could certainly be a game changer for a Stanley Cup contender. I also think they could potentially deal Braden Schneider, because I think I like what Scott Morrow brings, and at that point, Schneider will move back to that spot, and Morrow will go back to Hartford once Foxy comes back. But it does sort of make Schneid's expendable. I know Soucy's coming up on the end of the deal. Like there's some room for some growth. It depends on what Chris Drury, what the Rangers want to do in terms of staying in contention, and trying to get into the playoffs this year, or whether they want to build and get some assets for the future. Was just sort of bandying about some names. The biggest move would obviously be to go for Jason Robertson of Dallas. He's got 23 goals, 22 assists already. He's in year 4 of a 4-year deal and is an RFA, not a UFA. Could they put together some sort of package that, whether it's either this season or swing the rights after the season, could Panarin and Schneider get them Robertson and something, or they seemingly need maybe a fourth defenseman. Panarin could fill right into the spot, on the power play, on the likely top line with Dallas. Dallas really needs to go for it. I mean, they've been to the conference final so much, but can't get over the hump. That would be probably my greatest hope, because he's young, he's phenomenal, he's a goal scorer, he does so many things. Will it happen? Come on. I don't know. Chris Drury does tend to try and swing for the fences, but I don't know that he would be able to pull this off, but he'd be number one on my wish list for them to make a move that changes the shape of the franchise. There are little moves that they could drop somebody in so they could have another score. Could they get Mateus Michelli from Toronto if things keep going south for them? I don't want Brian Rust. He's in year 4 of a 6-year deal at 5.125. I know the Sullivan connection, but he's already 33 years old. I don't think he just gives them another aging veteran. I don't know what you could put together for a rental of Alex Tuck. I don't necessarily know. Signing him in the offseason would be good. He'll be a UFA at the end of the year. Could you get him for a rental to plug him in on the wing with some speed and some goal scoring? He's got 11 goals and 19 assists. Do you want to try and go in on maybe a Dylan Holloway, a young, 24 RFA? He was offer sheeted by St. Louis. Do you want to go in on that? I don't think he's going to score you a ton of goals. He's got 8 and 9 assists this year, but he's young and he'd offer you something different. There's not a lot of. It's going to take some creativity to really find something good out there. I honestly would love to see them make. I'd love to see them make the Jason Robertson move. Let's not kid ourselves. But I'd love to see them make a little move just to get some more scoring on the wing for the top 2 lines, so it doesn't have to fall on the same 4 guys. But maybe Gabe is that guy. Maybe Gabe Perreault is that guy. Give him some games, and see if he can provide some scoring. I'd love to have somebody who's a little more NHL seasoned, so to speak. But I don't know that this team's going. The team's not going all in to win a cup. I don't think. I think their possibilities are obviously trading Panarin, potentially Zibanejad or Trocheck, because center markets, are going to be crazy come the deadline. Like I said, could give up a defenseman and possibly, make that big Panarin deal. We'll see. I know who's under, who I wished was under the Rangers tree. That would be Jason Robertson. But, we'll see what happens. There's that drama going on in Dallas, so we'll see how it comes to pass. Figure you guys would like a little trade talk while we're in that roster freeze and dead period. Let's talk some fun numbers at the Christmas break. Obviously, Rangers are 3 games over that sort of NHL 500, 19, 16, and 4, 42 points. Their .538 winning percentage puts them 14th in the Eastern Conference. They only have 12 regulation wins. It's not a .538 winning percentage, a .538 points percentage. They have 104 goals scored. That's 15th in the conference. They're 1 ahead of the Devils, but they've played 2 more games than the Devils. So we know their offensive struggles. We know that, but let's do a little fun numbers. I had a good time scrolling through NHL Edge and finding some stuff. Their 42 total 22-plus mile-an-hour bursts is 12th in the league. Their 17 total 90-plus mile-an-hour shots is 23rd in the league. They don't really have a slap shooter, so to speak. They're not a team that's going to, have 100-mile-an-hour slap shots. We know that. Interestingly, they're 1,759.67 miles skated is more than any other team has skated, whether that's some extra overtime games or whether they're all over the place, in coverage and forecheck and all of that stuff. That's number one in the league. Kind of crazy that, hey, that's the thing they top the league at. The hardest shot by the Rangers is JT Miller at 98.32 was on December 16th. Interesting, of the top 10 hardest shots taken by a Ranger, JT Miller has 7 of them. Mika Zibanejad has the other 3. Max skating speed, so this was the highest miles per hour hit by a Ranger this year. I think I remember the play, but I don't think with a couple of guesses you'd get who it is. It's Adam Edstrom, hit 23.80 miles per hour. Noah Laba is second at 23.04. That 23.80 fastest skate, that's number 7 in the NHL. Of the 5 top speeds hit by a Ranger, kind of unsurprisingly, Noah Laba has 3 of the top 5 Laba's been just a godsend in terms of bringing some speed to the lineup, bringing speed to the center position. So not a surprise there. Interestingly, so they're number 12 at 22 plus mile an hour bursts. They're number 14 in 20 to 22 mile an hour bursts. 18 to 20 mile an hour bursts, they're seventh in the league, which basically says to me they're slow. They're not beating anybody. It's, up the ice, rush chances, all that, what you see. They're not that fast. It also kind of goes into explaining why they're playing the system that Mike Sullivan has them playing, with so much structure, so much, sound defensive nature, hard on the forecheck and in neutral zone, and trying to win board battles because they're, foot races not their specialty. Interesting, their 280 high danger shots on goal is number 22 in the league. Their 246 long range shots on goal is fifth in the league. They spend 40.6% of the time in their defensive zone, which is ninth in the league and is better than average. They spend 42% of the time in the offensive zone, which is number 6 in the league and above average. So there's, we know they're scoring woes, but they're spending time in that offensive zone. They've got the puck. They're just not putting it on net. Obviously, they're putting a lot of low danger chances there. I think a couple of days ago, they led the league in missed shots the last time I checked. So, some of these are fun to see, that they are spending more than the league average in the offensive zone. That should lead to more goals. Their 50 high danger goals are 25th in the NHL. Their 32 mid range, 18th in the NHL. Interestingly, their shots, so here's sort of, Ovi's one-timer is speedy. Their shots between 90 and 100 miles an hour, they have 17 of them. To give you some perspective, Tampa and Washington are tied for first with 51. 80 to 90 mile an hour shots, the Rangers have 159. Washington's first with 242. So obviously they're playing a different game than some of these other teams. They're not taking as many slap shots. They're taking more wristers from the point to try and get tips or, loose pucks. They aren't setting up one-timers quite as much as you might think. Their high danger shots against Shesterkin has faced 218. That's the fourth most. He's made 184 high danger saves. That's also fourth most in the league. And from the mid-range, Shesterkin's faced 249. That's the most mid-range shots in the league. He's also made the most mid-range saves at 224. So just some interesting stuff where we are at the break. I love the offensive zone one because it gives you a good sense that they're working in the offensive end. The more work they put in there, the goals will come. They're also not obviously sitting back and just letting teams into their defensive end and letting them have extended time in the Rangers' defensive end. So that's also a plus. Those are traits that winning teams have. So we'll see. The one that they've skated more miles than anybody else sort of concerns me, but maybe that's part of the structure. I'm not really sure what it means, but when you've got a team that has some aging top line guys, maybe if they could skate a little less. They're skating more than any other team. They played more games than any other team. They've played them in more compact of a time than any other team. No wonder there are nights where they look like they don't have their legs. After the holiday break, Rangers hit the road. So Saturday, they actually get a little bit of a benefit usually after these breaks, and you go on a lengthy road, play a game with lengthy road travel, that can be very tough because you haven't played in a couple of days and everyone's trying to get their legs back. They're lucky they travel to UBS Arena, 20 miles away or whatever it is, on Saturday against the Islanders. But so it's a big road trip. It's Saturday at the Islanders, Monday at Carolina, Wednesday at Washington, and then Friday, January 2nd, they're in Miami for the neutral site game at Lone Depot Park against the Florida Panthers, the Winter Classic, which, if they have the roof open and the windows open out in left field where you can see the Miami skyline, it's going to be really cool. It should be interesting. I don't know if Matthew Tkachuk will be back for that or not. After that road trip, they come back, they play 4 of the next 5 at home, which usually you'd say is a good thing. I think they've turned the tide at MSG. So it won't really be I don't think it'll be the colossal mess that we saw early in the season, but it'd be nice to have them back at MSG. One final good piece of news that came out: Team USA for the World Juniors, which starts on Boxing Day, day after Christmas. Final roster decision was made, and EJ Emery made Team USA. He was one of the later cuts for last year's team, so it's great that he made the team. 2024 draft pick defenseman. Not a ton of offensive upside yet. He's at North Dakota. His numbers are slim, but he is just a shutdown defenseman. Like, you want to put an offensive defenseman out there and put EJ Emery with him, it's the perfect pairing. Emery will probably wind up as a third pair defenseman, but it's just fantastic. He was a number 30 pick in the 2024 draft, 6'3", 185, right-hand shot defenseman. It's such a good experience. The World Juniors this year are in Minnesota. Team USA going for their 3rd straight gold medal. Not as deep a team as in past years. Bob Motzko is back as head coach. I think they have 7 first-round draft picks on Team USA. I think I saw Canada may have 20. That sounds legit. I think I saw that. Kind of nuts. Team USA will play in Group A. So it's USA, Sweden, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Germany in that group. And they open up on December 26th, first day of the tournament, against Germany. So congrats to EJ Emery. It's quite an honor to play for your country. It's quite an honor to play at the World Juniors, and then to get the experience of playing at the World Juniors in your home country. That's tough to beat. So take advantage of it, EJ, and we'll be keeping our eyes on you to see how you're doing. I'll give everybody updates as the games go through, because World Juniors just a really, really fun event. Some great hockey over the post-Christmas into New Year's holiday. So that's all I've got for you for today, for Christmas Day. Again, please subscribe, write comments down in the comments section. Give me your thoughts. Give me your trade possibilities. Also, tell me what Rangers stuff you got for Christmas. I'm eager to know. I'm sure somebody got something that is really special. Hopefully, some of you got tickets to the Winter Classic. That's always a fun event. This one will be extremely unique as well. So please subscribe. Tell all your Ranger buddies. The show is growing. I really appreciate everybody following along. So please tell all your buddies, watch, subscribe, leave comments. And again, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas Day. Be safe. And as always, thanks for watching.